Look at the markets in sub-Saharan Africa, and you will see intense entrepreneurial energy. People are starting businesses every day. But right beneath that activity is a pattern of systemic collapse. Data from the ILO and the World Bank tracks a brutal reality for this region. Within their first 5 years, 60 to 80% of small and medium enterprises fail. That attrition rate rarely comes down to a lack of good ideas. In these markets, businesses die because they run out of cash, they misread their customers, or they break down operationally. Survival requires rapid adaptability and the ability to build functional systems. The Design and Technology Institute in Ghana looked at this specific macroeconomic problem and engineered a pedagogical response. They built a curriculum called From Zero to Enterprise. The program operates on the premise that entrepreneurship is a learnable craft. The curriculum treats business as a practical discipline that any founder can master through consistent practice. The curriculum translates this discipline into an 18-month architecture divided into 3 distinct phases: foundation, acceleration, and incubation. By forcing students through a rigid sequence of psychological and technical milestones, the DTI framework provides a structured defense against the failure modes that typically destroy emerging market startups. The efficacy of the DTI model actually begins before the first day of class. The intake process is designed to optimize for psychological resilience rather than test scores. Academic grades are explicitly rejected. In entrepreneurship, test scores are a flawed proxy. A perfect GPA tells you nothing about how a person handles a cash flow crisis. Instead, candidates are scored across 7 specific dimensions. To even qualify, a student must score exceptionally high in 2 non-negotiable categories: resourcefulness and entrepreneurial heart. Once accepted, students do not immediately learn accounting or marketing. The foundation phase opens with a mandatory psychological rewiring module. The module contrasts an employee mindset against an entrepreneurial operating system. The employee loop waits for instructions. The entrepreneurial loop identifies problems. Crucially, the curriculum trains students to view failure not as a stopping condition, but as free market research. Failing to execute this psychological shift renders subsequent technical skills ineffective. The standard business school education misses this step, attempting to install software on an incompatible system. The first technical hurdle is the problem-first architecture. The program strictly prohibits students from building a business around an unvalidated product idea. They are forced out of the classroom to map real physical inefficiencies in their communities. They look for friction points, like massive post-harvest agricultural loss at local farms, or the lack of informal credit options for market traders. Every observed problem undergoes a 3-filter opportunity test. First, the pain must be severe enough that customers will actively pay. Surviving problems test for prevalence. And finally, sustainable profitability, outputting a single, validated business concept. Testing this concept requires localizing the lean startup methodology. Building a minimum viable product looks very different in Accra than it does in San Francisco. A Silicon Valley founder might write 1,000 lines of code to test software demand. The Ghanaian reality demands zero-cost validation. Students test market appetite through direct conversational sales, or by setting up a simple WhatsApp landing page before buying any inventory. They apply the jobs to be done framework, analyzing why a customer hires a product. In these markets, the solution must satisfy unique social and emotional jobs, like projecting reliability to a supplier, not just functional requirements. By enforcing this rigorous, low-cost validation engine, the curriculum prevents the most common startup death, deploying limited, hard-earned capital to scale a product that nobody actually wants.
Once a product is validated, the founder has to sell it in a highly informal environment. Trust is low, and formal complaint mechanisms, like consumer protection bureaus, rarely exist or function efficiently. Because of this, customer service operates as the primary revenue acquisition strategy. There is extreme word-of-mouth asymmetry. A happy customer might tell 6 people, a dissatisfied customer will tell 16. The curriculum replaces standard marketing funnels with a 7-step consultative sales process. Look specifically at Step 2, Connect and Greet. In the Ghanaian context, bypassing a genuine human greeting breaks the entire sales process, creating immediate distrust and stopping the transaction. Students must also map community buying structures. A market trader rarely buys just for themselves. They're buying for their shop, their family, and their neighbors. Managing the trust deficit across that buying unit is daily work. Friction is inevitable.
When it happens, students rely on the LEAP framework: listen, empathize, ask, prevent. They map these steps against 4 specific profiles of difficult customers. This framework gives founders a tactical way to validate a customer's frustration and resolve the issue. It de-escalates local market disputes without generating the kind of public conflict that damages a brand's reputation in the community. Stripping Western methodologies of their cultural assumptions and injecting local trust-building mechanics is what actually drives sustainable revenue. A solo founder in these markets faces severe capital constraints. They cannot afford traditional enterprise software licenses, and they certainly cannot hire a multi-person marketing team. The curriculum solves this by redefining the SME operating system. It relies entirely on a low-fidelity, high-leverage tech stack built from free-tier digital tools. The core stack is WhatsApp Business, functioning as a CRM with automated replies. Customer acquisition uses Meta Ads and Canva for high-volume content at zero cost. Finally, AI bookkeeping tools allow founders to maintain tax compliance without hiring an accountant. Making this stack work requires a strict mastery of prompt engineering. Students are trained to inject specific local context into their AI prompts. If they omit this step, the AI generates generic Silicon Valley-style copy that completely alienates local buyers. When AI is treated as raw operational leverage rather than theoretical computer science, a single capital-constrained founder can compete at an enterprise scale. Over 18 months, these individual components interlock. The psychological rewiring, the zero-cost validation, the culturally calibrated sales tactics, and the AI tech stack form a single pedagogical blueprint. The curriculum integrates these street-smart modules with high-level academic theory. Students map their competitive environments using Michael Porter's 5 forces and design market positioning with Blue Ocean strategy. This preparatory work feeds directly into the 6-month incubation phase, where the curriculum moves entirely out of the classroom and into the physical market. The ultimate output of this process is not a theoretical business plan. It is a formalized, highly structured commercial entity that is actively generating revenue. That structure includes strict integration with national legal frameworks. By graduation, they hold commercial registration, map their quarterly tax obligations, and establish mandatory Social Security compliance. In sub-Saharan Africa, building a resilient SME sector is a systems design problem. A business survives in these markets through the exact fusion of academic rigor, ruthless street-level practicality, and modern digital leverage. When international development professionals simply copy and paste Western business playbooks into emerging markets, they see 80% of those enterprises fail within 5 years. True economic resilience requires calibrating global frameworks to local sociological realities,